Hello, this is Professor Nelson with the Jewelry Design Department at the Fashion Institute of Technology. I'm posting another video in our series of videos for modeling in Rhino, modeling jewelry. This is for JD237, the Maurice project. Moving forward, this is likely to be the last video on this ring. Doing what we would call discrete modeling or in-place modeling, in situ modeling for the collet. So I've done this first flute. I need to bring back my maquette. Because having done the innermost flute, my strategy is now going to do the outermost flute, okay? And then I'll do the flute in between last, okay? So I need to be able to access this surface for a C-plane. So that's why I've brought that back. I'm going to take a look at our, okay, I won't need these. Actually, do I already have those in storage? Yes, I do. Okay, so I won't need these anymore. So I'm going to want to steal the information from this flute, the same way I did for the centermost one. To do that, I'm going to duplicate edge, duplicate edge, duplicate edge and edge, enter, extract isocurve, mid snap, mid snap, and then a couple more for toggle again. To handle this, whenever you have a sharp bend, you want to have additional cross sections to control that. That's just a basic modeling strategy for swept surfacing. When you're going to do a sweep like that, especially a long linear sweep, and you have a kink or a tight bend, you want to have plenty of cross sections. In fact, I'm going to give myself one at a little better location and throw this one away. And that'll give me a curve network. Mirror these over. Okay. And that will give me a starter set to begin working on this surface. So I have that. Next thing I want to do, and I've been avoiding it, I need to make this shank longer. It has got to intersect fully with that new cleat. I'm going to hide my original shank. Go into my building blocks, and amongst these, I have my original surfaces. They're right there. I'm going to bring those back. Along with the cross section, I had to control them, which is on my curve storage layer. It'll be grouped with all of these sections. There it is. So I'm going to bring these back. Actually, what I'm going to do is I am going to Control-Shift-G. I'm going to ungroup them. I'm going to select this one. Control-C, copy it to clipboard. That goes outside of Rhino. So now I can undo my ungroup and then paste, Control-V. So now I have my original group and this separate curve. I'll only take this separate curve out of storage and put it on my red layer. Now, if all goes well, curious if I have a copy of this surface. No, I don't. That would be nice if I did. I am going to need the flow kit for this, so I'm going to go ahead and grab that while I have it. We'll put that on the purple layer. So I have back my flow kit, and I can already tell if I'm going to have a problem. If that flow kit doesn't reach, I'm going to have a problem. It reaches, but it barely reaches. Okay? The lack of tolerance there makes me nervous. So I am going to do something that's a little dodgy, but time efficient. I'm going to extend this surface. These surfaces are mathematically identical. They're the same length. They have the same mathematical structure. We were very careful to do that. That's going to allow me, in a pinch, to use a surface extend command. You select the edge that you want to extend. That's also why you want these to be untrimmed surfaces. Extension factor is set to 10 right now. I don't want that. I don't want to extend it any more than I have to. I'm going to type in 0.5. Check that against my curves. Check that against my flutes. That should be sufficient. Okay? Now I have to extend the bottom surface to match. Rhino remembers the last dimension, so I just hit enter. And now I've updated my flow kit. So I know I'm going to want to move this cross section out to where it almost reaches the end. Now, our original surfaces are right here. In theory, I should be able to move this right close to the edge. And those surfaces should have updated for me. And they did not. Okay? I don't understand why that didn't work, unless it's because they're grouped. Okay, now they're ungrouped. In theory, if I move that, this should have updated, and it doesn't. Okay. I went to great lengths to preserve all of my history. History has gotten broken somehow, which is not great for demonstration purposes, but it is because it shows you what you have to do when that happens. And you simply resurface. Remember how we made this surface. It was a loft straight from this edge of this surface to the end, this cross section. So it's an easy surface to make. The beauty of this modeling approach was to have very simple surfacing. So make sure it doesn't go off of the flow surface. Delete this. Actually, delete all of them. Surface blend. Not surface blend, sorry. Surface loft. Edge. Curve. Enter. We want to match start tangent. And we hit OK. Now, this is really important because, just to show you, if I would have done the loft in the opposite direction, picked the cross section, and then the surface edge, hit the same command, there is no start tangent available. Fortunately, Rhino's bright enough to understand that there's no surface here. So it would work still. I could do this and this and hit match end tangent because it only has one surface. The thing to be aware of is that if you ever have, and you will, a scenario where you're lofting between two surfaces, okay, you have a chance of matching the start and end. And you want to make sure you get the right one, because if you hit match end tangent, hit preview, you'll see that it flattened that out to match this end. And if you hit match start and hit preview, you'll see how it does that. And that's what we want, okay? That's just a piece of information for loft in general. So record history, creating our actual surface, surface edge, cross-section curve, match start tangent, okay. Record history, transform, copy, end, repeat, and check history. History works fine. Okay. Put these all on the same layer. And in an effort to preserve this in case I want it in the future, Control G and change to storage. Oops, sorry, missed a step. Control C, copy to C plane. Copy to clipboard. Change layer to storage. Paste. Okay. And this one has no history attached to it because it's a copy. Okay. So, oh, interesting. I would wonder if after changing that, history updated 3 objects. So even on the storage layer, it updated them. That's what I thought. I don't know how we lost our history, or how I lost my history on that other one. But like I said, no big deal. I'm going to grab this copy without history, and I am going to flow it along the surface just to see. Just to verify that it's doing what I want it to do. Yeah, it's long enough. Okay. So, knowing it's long enough, I'll go ahead and do the rest of the surfacing. I want to make a rectangular surface that goes all the way around this, a rectangular curve. We'll do this the way we've been doing it previously. Project to C-plane, end snap, corner, 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 corner. Extrude this straight down. I'm going to turn on my storage layer so I can just steal the previous distance. Have it there as a reference. Not project in this case. That should match the depth exactly. Use these to trim off. That was pretty annoying. So I have that. I have this. I'm going to put this back into the storage curves. I'm going to actually collect all those original cross sections and add this to the group, and then make sure they're all on storage curves. Okay, I am going to check and see what the fillet was on my original that I made. It's right there. Okay. I'm going to just bring this out of storage for a minute and check my fillet radius. .4. 1.2. Okay, so I did a variable fillet from 1.2 to 1.4. I'm going to put that back on storage. And go ahead and fillet this accordingly. .2 is the radius. Fillet. It says select handle to edit. That's the back one. 0.4. Fillet the edge. Select fillet to handle to edit. The back one. Flow along surface. I want history. Just because I can. Turn off my flow surfaces. I want to bring back my original shank now. Hopefully I did not throw that away. because I would like to check the taper. I'm not seeing it, which means in my, let's see if I put it in the hidden layer. Yes, I did. I hit it. Okay. There it is. Okay, it looks good. It's hard to see because this new color is so close. But that's the same shank, just a little longer. Now, I was a little nervous by extending that surface that I was going to get more of a width here, because I probably did get a little bit more of a width. You can see it. It continued that width fanning outward. I was afraid it might look funny, and if it did, I would have had to change the width of my piece. But it doesn't. It looks good, so I'm accepting it. Okay, that means I can put this into storage. Don't need it anymore. I can put this into storage. Don't need it anymore. And make this the same color as the other finished surfacing. And now I'm ready to continue on with that flute. It's going to be a similar process to what we did with the inside flute. We're going to, I want to check and do an intersection here. Take a look. I'm going to set the C-plane to the back side of my maquette block. Thank you. And turn this off. So you can see that I have quite a jump here. And I'm not really happy about that. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to first off project this curve to the same C-plane. C, enter for project, and delete is Y. Okay, so I've gotten that curve back tight onto the C-plane. It's the first thing I want to do. Next thing I want to do, so I want to draw a curve straight down from this quadrant. I can go ahead and turn off that other flute. And in fact, select out these curves. That belong to it. Group those, put those in storage. Okay. Since this is right on a grid line and the grid's going to make it hard for me to see for a minute, I'm going to turn off the grid. I want a cross section that comes up smoothly here and does what I want it to do. I would like to do a nicer job with this top curve. First question I have is it flat? It looks pretty flat. I'm going to make sure it's flat. So I'm going to go back, turn my grid back on, go back into front C-plane, draw a straight line, end, mid, project both sides, grab the end, grab the mid, slide it along itself like a trombone using near snap just so that it completely intersects here. And I'm going to do an extrusion. Both sides. And I'm going to set a C-plane to that. And I'm going to project this curve onto that C-plane. Now it shouldn't hardly move at all. That was a lot of effort just to make sure, but it's good hygiene. I want to make sure that curve's what I want it to be. I'm going to hide this because I know I'm going to want it later. I'm going to split this center cross section with this top line. I'm going to do a curve, blend curve, adjustable blend curve between this line. Pop into front C-plane just so I can have it not be fighting me. Hold down Alt key to kill my object snaps for a minute. And I'm going to play with these handles. I want this to follow nicely from there. See, the challenge is right now I'm going to lose some of that off the back. I don't want to lose that much. So I'm going to push it up from the back a little bit. Retreat it from here. Pull down the outer handle. The way these handles work, this is the tangency to the base, and this is extending out. So heavy control from here, delicate control from here. So if I really want to make a substantial push, I do it from the base curve. And then if I want to make subtle changes, I do it from the outer, I shouldn't say curve point, outer point. There. That gives me a lot of that feeling here. I want it to feel rounded. I think that's as good as I'm going to get that. Okay. I'm going to look at that for a minute and decide if I like it. I don't. So I'm going to go back. Instead of trying to keep this corner, I'm not even going to try and keep that corner anymore. I'm going to look for the most graceful curve between here and here. See, there are two different aesthetics. One aesthetic is trying to preserve as much of this block as I can, to stay as close to this as I can. The other aesthetic is to realize that that's not going to really be a nice solution, and to just try and come up with a flute that's nice in its own right without any real reference to what we've done before. And I'm going to try that. So now what I'm looking for is just a nice rounded flute. And I think that that is a better solution. Still a little awkward. I'll show you. I'll compare it. Copy that to clipboard. Bring back the original one. Paste. Okay. There's a slight difference here. But what that tells me is I'm bulging out backwards. And I don't like that. Okay. One more try. Different color so that I can compare them. I'm taking that one. Ironically, pretty close to what Rhino suggested in the first place. checking. I'm looking to see if it bulges way out here. It doesn't. So that's all right. I'll live with it. I'm going to join these together. That's one cross section. While I'm at making nice flat rails, I'm going to check this rail from the front view. That rail is crazy. Okay, I don't want a crazy rail. So I'm going to do the same thing I've done with the back side. I'm going to do a straight line. Both sides. Hang on. Gotta reactivate my seaplane. My object snaps. Both sides. End. Mid. Slide it along itself. Extrude. Set a seaplane to it. Project this to seaplane. C, enter. Yes, or Y, enter. That should now be nice and flat. Hide that. Okay. I can actually hide the curve too. Now I want to make sure that this still touches it. It should. To check it, I just do intersection, object, and if I get a point, they're touching. Good. Those two are touching. All right. Let's come around to here. Those don't touch. Those touch. Okay. Let's take a look at my shank. I'm not going to want to count on a fillet to treat the edge of this, because I already have this cross section, which is self-filleting. So for the rest of the cross sections, for this back section, I have to do the same thing. It has to be self-filleting. So extract iso curve. Make sure I get the right surface. Toggle direction. Catch the end. Actually, you want that seaplane now. No. That, thank you, Rhino. It's going to be the same idea. I'm going to split this. Just going to turn on the control points here, F10, and then move this control point back. I want it to be beyond where this is at. That's fine. And I'm going to do a blend surface between those two. I obviously don't want the bubble hanging out the end. I just want something smooth and nice. That's fine. Going to join those together. Okay. This curve is going to end up not really being meaningful to this sweep. These sections, I'm not going to use them right away. they're okay, but I'm not going to use them as they sit. Throw away this cross section, mirror it over. Okay, I need a new cross section here. I mean a new rail, so I'm going to create that. Select this flat curve at the bottom, straight line curve, extend, regular extend curve. I pre-selected it so it's the boundary. It's asking what curves to extend to it. Those two. Going to do a tangent to two curves, line across the top, tangent, two curves. This should look familiar. It's the same way we created our initial curve to make our flow surface for our maquette. And that's fine. So I have now a rail, and a rail. I don't love the way this rail looks. I'm going to split it with the center section. I'm going to check the points. It's an awful lot of points. Going to minimize those a bit. Yeah, there are 35 points there. I should be able to define this curve with about 16. Turn those points back on. Actually delete the anchor. And our usual process for keeping a straight line. I turned off project because I'm not in that C-plane right now. It would be smart for me to be in that C-plane, so I'm going to Control Shift H, unhide. I'm going to grab this surface that I used to make that C-plane, set a C-plane to it, and then hide it again. At least that way I know as I'm drawing this curve, I'm staying on the C-plane, staying flat, planar. Okay. Now I'm going to check my curvature graph. Because there's just some, yeah, see all that? I know I can do better than that. I don't want this to do a reverse here. If I take this, if I'm seeing this, that's not good. And I want it to come straight up along here. So tuck that in a bit. And of course, not just looking at the grid, I'm actually looking at the curve itself to see if it's a shape that I like. That's pretty nice. It's a lot better looking than this one. I'm going to throw that one away, mirror this one over, join them together. So I have that rail. This rail I'm okay with. So I'm going to make a surface. Now this is another maquette surface, sadly. This is not going to be the finished surface because I know that bad things are going to happen as it goes around this corner. I just need to know what those bad things are. Also, these sections don't reach all the way to here. So I'm going to hit my curve tools, fillet, and then join these together, and then trim it with this so that I have two nice cross sections. Don't need, nope, didn't mean to move that. Don't need that curve. I'm going to put all the curves that I am now using as part of my sweep on the same color layer. Just to tidy things up. Surface from curve network. Rail, 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 section, section, section. Once again, that is not nearly enough data to control that surface, but we'll see what Rhino gives us. Really not terrible. Really not terrible at all. Okay. I can kind of accept that. I'm going to want to do some cross-section control here, and the way I'm going to do those, I'm going to do cutting plane. And these iso curves give me some idea of the direction I want. I want a little different. I want this to be about here, and I want the one up here to be about like that. This is just intuitive. I can't do straight perpendicular because it will be too much of a transition from here to here. But what the surface is doing is a little too soft. Great. I'm going to get a cross section, intersection between these two. Going to get an intersection between those two. That should give me the cross sections. Delete this. And I will start with the lower cross section. So I'll put a C-plane to this. Hide both of those. Control H. Come in here and look at this. And just to decide if I like it. I don't want there to be any strange bulging. So I should be able to put in a straight line right here. And have this remain tangent to it. I want to know how many points there are on here. A whole lot. I don't need quite that many. Let's see how much that changes. Okay, 16 is good. Turn on the points. What I really just want to do is control this part here. So I'm going to delete a couple of points in here. I'm going to grab this, put this point on top of that point, and now I'm going to do something you haven't seen me do before. I'm going to put that on near snap and slide along this. This will keep it on the same direction as this curve. Same tangency. Same thing here. I just wanted to get that stiffness coming off that line. So now I'll put on curvature graph. Turn on the points. And this is creating kind of a back and forth I don't want. So I'll adjust that point until that goes away. Otherwise, I'm happy. That section is done. Delete the dark blue one. Delete the reference line. Okay. Control Shift H to unhide. Grab this surface, set a C-plane to it, hide it again. Same process here. Just want to have a nice rigid quality to how that feeds at the bottom. Straight line. I'll give it the same number of points we have on the other one. Should be fine. Turn on the control points. Delete a few of these. Move that point on top of this point. Move again using near snap. Slide. Grab this point, move it on top using point snap of this point. Near snap, slide. Curvature graph analysis. I expect this point to be sticking out too far. And it is. Move it in until I get a smooth transition. The rest of it's fine. Delete this, delete that. Going back to my good old top C-plane, throwing away these cross sections, replacing them with these cross sections, mirror them over. That is my surface, my network for my surface. So, surfacing, network of curves, rail, 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 section, 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 enter. Okay. That's a nice surface. Okay. See how it plays with our maquette? It's acceptable. How it plays with our shank. A little bit of a problem here, only in that it's going to touch right on the surface, and when we try and do boolioning later, that's going to be a problem, but I'm not really worried about that. I'll fix that in just a second. Otherwise, it looks good. Actually, what I'm noticing is that I would like it if it didn't come straight out here. So I'm going to do a non-uniform scale. But when I do the non-uniform scale, I'm going to do it of, first I'll change this surface to another layer, because I don't want to keep having to avoid the previous. I'm going to grab all the curved network as well, because I want to non-uniform scale the whole thing together. Bring this back to look at. Set up my viewport so I can see what it is I want to see. I want this to kind of taper the same as the center and the shoulder do. So transform, non-uniform scale starting from 0. I don't want to scale this direction. I do want to scale this direction. I'm not going to do a lot. I don't want to literally copy the taper. I just want to respect it a little bit, so it doesn't feel like I completely am oblivious to that taper. That's soft, that's nice, and it solved the problem to some degree of this intersecting, but not really. We still have some really tangential coincidental surfacing here that Rhino's going to hate later, which I am going to fix right now because I don't want to deal with it later. It's going to be easy. I'm going to extract isocurve far enough back that it clears that surface of my shoulder. Before I do this, I'm going to make a copy of this, paste it, and hide it. I mean, not hide it, put it in storage, because I'm about to play with this in such a way that I might want the original back. Trim. Delete the curve. Put a straight line. First I'm going to just do a curve blend curve. See what happens. Regular, quick blend curve between this surface and this surface. Good. That's what I was hoping for, was for a fairly straight line. It won't be perfectly straight, but it'll be straight enough. I don't believe I'm going to get a planar surface from these. No. So I'm going to make a patch. It's going to give me two options. To adjust we want the automatic trim always. Adjust tangency. If I keep this selected, it's going to try and stay smooth to this entire panel. I'm going to preview that and see what I get. I like it. It's fine. I'm going to join this together. And I have my finished outer cleat flute. I'm going to group these together, send them to storage curves. And now I am at my last flute. This flute here, okay? Now, it isn't going to really help me a lot anymore. But that's okay. I have most of the information I need from the other two. Going to extract an isocurve. toggle, mid. Okay. Turn that off. See if that's valid at all. Grab this intersect. Yes. Actually, I don't want to trust that. That's surface to surface. Surface to curve. I'm going to duplicate the edge, because the edge of these two are going to be my rails no matter what. So might as well get that over with. Check if these intersect the way I hope they will. Good. That section is useful. That's what I was hoping for. Now I'm going to do the end sections, and they're going to be a little more difficult to do because we've non-uniform scaled and done some other things that are going to make this section no longer viable. So I want to create a surface, a C-plane basically, right here. To do that, I'm going to draw a curve, straight line, project, and snap. That'll project right back onto the front C-plane. That is a nice straight line. Straight lines are good because they allow me to make nice flat planar surfaces, and those are good because they allow me to make C-planes. I'll hide that surface. Bring back this. I'm going to go ahead now and duplicate this edge, the original section. I'm going to project that to C-plane. C, enter. Y, enter. It was already there. That's comforting. And I'm going to decide what I want to do here. I'm going to do that by just drawing the curve. Arc, start, end direction. Now I don't want that to get too tight of an angle down in here. I also don't want to end up with a recessed flute. Okay. I don't absolutely love what that gave me. I'm going to transform orient 2 points. Copy, no. Scale, yes, 3D. Going to go, remember this will rotate, scale, copy, whatever you want all at the same time. I just want to rotate and scale it. End, that's my references. And then target points, end, end. That takes pretty much that same arc and just rotates it and puts it in position. Project it to C-plane. C, enter, Y, enter. And I think that's okay. I think that'll be good. Okay, mirror it over. Now I need my center line, which I will steal from this center flute. Mid-snap. I want that to be true and flat, so front C-plane, straight curve, both sides option, project, mid, end, end, mid. Extrude that, well, I'll move it up first. Slide it along itself with near snap. Extrude it straight out. Make a C-plane with it. Hide it, Control H. Project this curve to C-plane. Turn off my other two flutes. Okay. So, a couple of things. Make sure I have an intersection here. I should, no problem. Yes. I don't have an intersect here because we changed this bottom cross-section. I want to stay as true to this as I can, though, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to draw a curve, straight line again, both sides again. Using end and near. Grab the end, come up near. I want to capture this angle, which is pretty good right there. Move this down to the end, from the end down to the midpoint of this curve. I'm afraid if I project that to C-plane, no, it's good. And I have intersect. Those don't intersect with each other. That's interesting. They need to intersect with each other. Okay, so try again. Move end to mid. Okay, so the challenge that I'm having, class, is that where this center line lines up does not coincide with where the center of this arc is. It's really a nuisance. But it's okay. Going to go back to my front C-plane. Going to extrude straight. Get an intersect between these two. Delete that surface. Because that basically projected this through that curve. That's all project is creating a surface you don't see for an intersection. So from end to point. Perfect. That's what I want. Get my other C-plane back. Control-Shift-H. Look for that surface, which I believe is this one. Yep. Set a C-plane to it. Hide it again. Back where we were. Okay. I'm going to do an extend curve. The reason I'm doing that is I want to bring this curve straight up into here. See where it would intersect. It would intersect right there. I'm going to do a fillet. Going to do a circle. I'm going to chop the center out and blend it so I don't have that corner anymore. I'm going to split this because I don't want to lose them. I need them for reference. Curve blend, adjustable curve blend. Here to here. I'm looking at my other sections. I don't want that knee in there for sure. I might want a little bit more than I've got. I'll call that good. I'm going to mirror both of these over. And this. Use that to trim that away. Join those together. Throw that away. Trim the bottom of that section off of that rail. Just deleting the reference point, don't need it. And I'm going to surface this. Surface from curve network. Rail, rail, rail. Section, section, section. Once again, I'm not expecting this to be an acceptable surface. It's just a place to begin. I'm going to use this surface to get myself cross sections. Using cutting planes. One about there. One about there. Intersect. Intersect. Start with the lower one first. Set a C-plane to it. And then hide both those sections. Turn off my... Actually throw away my surface. I don't need it anymore. My question is, do I like those cross sections or not? You know, I don't mind them. So rather than do anything more, I'm just going to go back to my top C plane, mirror those over. It'll give me almost exactly the same surface, but with a little bit more control. I don't really want that. Okay, so put these all in the same layer. Hide this and do my surface from curve network. And this should give me a nice final surface. Rail, 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 section, 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 section. Notice that the surface is more rigid now with more control through here. My other two flutes. I'm going to join the block together. And that is pretty good. I'm going to do a duplicate border. First off, to look for holes. Make sure there's no other holes but the one on the bottom. That is the only hole. And I'm going to do a patch. I do not want it to adjust tangency. I just want it to fill that with something. Anything at all is fine. Delete that curve. Join it together. Now, that should have become a solid. I don't know why it didn't. But my guess is it has to do with the bottom edge. It does. I'm not even going to bother fixing it. I am instead going to go into the front view. Surface tools, cutting plane. I'm just going to cut the bottom off. Make a line that's pretty much the right direction. Trim. Cat planar holes. Because that hole should now be, show you, that hole is now flat. So cat planar holes should work. Creating meshes. Check and see what this is. Properties. It's a closed poly surface. It's done, guys. Going to make a copy. Control C, paste it in, put it in storage. Mirror it over. Bring back the other parts of my ring. Okay. Going to extract this surface because I want to make this one big shank. So solid, extract surface. I broke history, that's okay. 2 F4. Join these together. I want to make solids now of these because I'm going to do a Boolean union. So turn those off. Just going to do a loft. Oh, I can't just do a loft. Won't let me. Okay, so I'm going to extract a border, an edge. Extracted these four. Enter when done. While they're still selected, I'm just going to join them together. And I'm going to do a bi-rail sweep. Cross section will be the edge of that surface and the edge of that surface. Here we go. While all those curves are still selected, I'll delete them. Happy flash, that is a solid. Same thing for the head. I should be able to do a 2-rail sweep easily here by just grabbing the edges. Join it together. Happy flash. Just to make sure I've got everything I need, I'm going to Control C, copy this all out of Rhino. Control G, group that together, send that all to storage. Then Control V, paste. Going to do a solid union. Enter. Going to get my ring bore. Going to extrude that straight out. both sides. Solid option is yes. Solid difference. And that is my completed Maurice ring. Okay, I can evaluate it aesthetically. I might want to have done this taper more than I did. Let this come in narrower. I might have wanted to do that. I may do that in another video and show you how that would be done at this point. But for now, that is a completed ring. Thanks for watching.